Good morning. I got a message to tell you people. A person asked me the other day, Jim, how do you know all your stuff? I said, I do my research. She said, where do you get your research from? I said, it would take a month to explain it. She said, yeah, right, and walked away. So I want to start with a book I wrote or put together in 2010. This is a copy of it. I had it printed locally. And I charged $100 for it, and about 30 or 40 people bought it. I want to show you just a couple things that are in it. I put in there a copy of a book that I bought at an antique sale called The Great Salk Vaccine Fiasco, 1960. Then I put in "1962 Encyclopedia of Diseases" by J.I. Rodale from Prevention Magazine, in which they talked about the Salk vaccine hoax too. Scientific experts reveal Salk vaccine a hoax. I'm not going to do this in any particular order. These are books I bought over the years. You see that? I had about 20 of these books I bought. Where's it at? But I sold most of them. Every one of these books talks about virus being the pus of smallpox. These people were 1800, 1900s. They were there. They treated smallpox. They gave vaccinations for smallpox. They knew what the hell they were talking about. Virus is the pus of smallpox, not exosomes, not cellular debris, not particles, nothing. The pus of smallpox, which is the result of the disease of smallpox. That's called isopathy. I've talked about this 1,000 times. Now, we're going to get into the heavy stuff. This is Martinez-Vazirnik's papers, by Martinez-Vazirnik, not by some secondhand source. It's about 20 pages. I bought this years ago, and I read every line of it. And he talks about the virus that caused tobacco mosaic disease, which people have just recently gotten involved with. What he did in a nutshell was take the sap from diseased plants and inject it into healthy plants and cause them to model. But you've got to know this stuff. You've got to read this stuff to know the truth, not the BS you get from everybody else. Tommy Rivers was a guy who redefined the term virus wrongly. But before I get to him, this is Simon Flexner from the Rockefeller Institute. This is his papers, in his own words. How he took the boy in 1909 that died of polio, cut out his spinal cord, chopped it up, ground it up, injected it into a monkey's head, and created artificial polio. This paper is by Tom Rivers, Filterable Viruses, a Critical Review. It's about 30 pages. And I even bought his original book off of eBay years ago. Tommy Rivers explains how he miseducated the entire medical profession, who he knew would miseducate the entire world. And this beauty by Hilary Kaprowski, the man who fed the first live virus to a human being. And I've told you 1,000 times what that live virus was. Garbage dipped in chocolate. I actually talked to this man's secretary on the telephone, asked him what a virus was. He said, a virus is a virus. So I pushed it. He sent me his original papers years ago. guy, John Enders, which some of your experts have gotten a hold of recently, put out a paper in 1957 of March about the isolation of a virus. I'll just read a part of it here. John Enders, for the direct isolation and tissue culture of poliomyelitis from stools of patients, a 10% suspension of feces in saline was prepared. They're making a virus out of shit. You think that's scientific? And this jewel is from Wendell T. Stanley, the guy from Ridgeville, Indiana, that said viruses were the spark of life. And this paper is from our friend Thomas Francis Jr., who oversaw the field trial of Salk's vaccine in 1954 and lied about it in his report. And this guy, Louis Gebhardt, is a guy who said he found live virus in the Cutter vaccine, the Cutter incident, only he tells you the truth. This guy is Semmelweis, the hand washing guy. All the BS that you've been told about that, you got to get his papers. And this paper on snake vaccines from 1964. No, there's no snake venom in vaccines, right? Listen to your experts. And this is our report from our friend Stephen Lanka, but he never mentions materials or methods, which is the most important thing in virus research. Now, I'm not going to go through the rest of these. See all these? These are folders on every individual involved in viruses. I spent a lot of money on these things, of which I really couldn't afford to do. There are doctors that say they spend thousands of hours on research and don't know shit from Shinola. These are the facts. And I'm not done yet. Then I'll take you into another world that I got into. This is a medical book from June of 1879. Talks about vaccines and viruses and smallpox pus. I'm not going to go through every one of these books that I bought. But there they are. See all those? A lot of money, a lot of time invested. And now, the polio 1950 stuff. These are the books I bought on eBay. This is 25 years of research, all this stuff I'm showing you. You think you spend time and money on this stuff? You haven't got a sliver in it compared to what I've done. All these books tell the truth by the guys who pulled off the crap, not the secondhand sources or the experts of today. Now I'm going to take a little bit of time to show you some of the books I bought. Viral Infections of Man by Thomas Rivers, 1948. This is the book where he and his henchmen each take a chapter of disease and say it was caused by a virus. This is Breakthrough by Richard Carter, 1965, I think, where he explains he interviewed Jonas Salk and they got the whole game from all these people that covered up and lied about his vaccine. This book is Infantile Paralysis by Robert Lovett, 1917. They called it infantile paralysis because it was a disease of infants from 6 months old to 5 or 6 years old. That's it. Smallpox vaccination kept it going. Polio. Sigmund Freud, infantile paralysis, the world's greatest expert, which you people mocked a little while ago. Polio and the Salk vaccine by Alton Blakesley, 1956. The Kenny Concept of Infantile Paralysis by Sister Elizabeth Kenny. You know about her by now. Another book by Robert Lovett, Treatment of Infantile Paralysis, 1917. Infantile Paralysis, 1941. I even have a copy of a 1955 newspaper declaring Jonas Salk's vaccine safe and effective in preventing paralytic polio for effective against preventing paralytic polio. Hang on, I got one more. I forgot. I got to go to the basement. And this mess here, which is all out of order, is the actual field trial report of Thomas Francis Jr., which I bought from the Bentley Historical Library, University of Michigan, 20 or 25 years ago, in which Francis, who oversaw the Salk vaccine, said it was never meant to protect against paralytic polio. It was just a measurement of an untried product, and that nobody could tell if a vaccine caused disease, death, or disability. Nobody could tell. That's how they get away with it, because there's no machine that can go into a body and track that poison to its location. So I'm going to tell you something. I tried to impart this information over the years and years. I got kicked out of groups, anti-vax groups. I got attacked every way, shape, and form by these experts that believed in viruses in the anti-vax group. They disassociated me, kicked me out of their groups years ago. And I kept on because I got determination, not education. I wasn't programmed by all this BS that most of you people have been programmed with. I was determined to find out the truth because my daughter died from the vaccines. So I've sold about 100 of those books altogether, different books. And they list the sources of Martinez Bajernick and Simon Flexner and Tom Rivers in them. And not one person has looked up one of those people. Not one, because everybody's looking for short answers. Tell me DDT caused polio and I'll believe it and I'll pass it on to somebody else. You don't know what the hell you're talking about. You're just quoting shit from people who don't know what they're talking about. So at any rate, at 82 years young, I published my final book on Amazon, The Anti-Vaccinator's Bible. It's got all this information in it. Took me 50 years to combine it. It'll take you 50 minutes to read it and look at it and research it, maybe 2 or 3 hours. I don't think that's asking too much. So I'm going to tell you this. If you don't have my book, you need to get it yesterday and read it and study it. If you do have my book, you need to read and study it. Because I'm going to tell you something. I'm tired of all the experts telling people that they don't know shit from Shinola about what's going on. So I'm going to start unfriending people starting next week. So if you want to stay on my page, you're going to have to give me a like button or tell me, make a comment. Because I'm done, as I said in that picture I put up there, warrior, I've done all I can do. I can't do anymore. All I can do is give you information. But if you're too lazy to study it, if you're too cheap to buy the book, or you want to buy these other books that tell you nothing, then you do that. That's your choice. But I'm done with it. This is all I got to say. And if I sound a little frustrated, it's because I've been going through this for 50 years, being attacked by my own people all the way down the line. And I kept persevering till finally, Lanka says 20 years ago they didn't isolate the virus, and some people went and checked it out and said, oh, they didn't isolate the virus. Big deal. What the hell is that? It's nothing. That's a simple answer. So anyway, I'm going to calm down, and I'm going to be Jim Dandy O'Kelly out. I'm done with my saying and my preaching and my lecturing.